All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. So today we're going to be talking about the Artist Support Grant. We're going to cover some stuff from the guidelines. We're going to go through the application process, and then at the end we'll take some questions. So let's take a look at these slides here. So, first of all, my name is Chris Coffey. I'm the Grants and Resources Coordinator for Arts Culture Catawba. We are the arts agency of Catawba County, and we are the sort of the lead arts council that's putting on this regional grant for this region. So the Artist Support Grant is a program from the North Carolina Arts Council that provides direct support to individual artists for professional and artistic development, either to enhance their skills and abilities to create work or to improve their business operations and capacity to bring the work to audiences. The Artist Support Grant is intended to support a broad range of talented visual, performing, literary, interdisciplinary arts. And this is a state program that we administer on a local level. So every county in the state actually participates within this grant program, and it's divided into regions. So our region, which is Region 14, includes Alexander, Burke, Caldwell, Catawba, Iredell, and McDowell counties. So if you do not live on if you don't actually live in one of these counties, the application process might look a little bit different for you than the way that we're doing it. So I would recommend you reach out to the Arts Council in your home county and ask them about how their process works. So here's some key information that is specific to our region. Our grant awards range from $500 to $1,500. Applications are going to open on September 1st, and they'll be due by September 30th. And the project must take place in the 2026 calendar year, so from January to December of next year. So in our region, we require that all applicants contact the arts agency in their county of residence to set up an appointment before they begin their application. After meeting with your Arts Council contact, they will then share the link to the online application. So we're not going to have the link just online publicly. You'll have to meet with an Arts Council representative first and discuss your project with them, and then they're going to share the link with you. And the reason we do it that way is to help all of you to be as successful as possible. I know for many of you, this may be the first time that you've ever applied for a grant, and you're not familiar with the process and how to do it. So by meeting with us, we can make sure that you know how to fill everything out correctly. And we can also give you guidance on things like which project idea might be the most successful, or we can give you some guidance throughout the process. So these are the contacts for all of the counties in our region. So the Arts Council in the county that you live will be your primary contact. And I want you guys all to think of this contact as like your coach during this process. They're going to be your first point of contact, and for any questions that you have, and they're all rooting for you to succeed. So they're going to be working with you to develop your application and make sure that it's really good. Okay, so also I wanted to mention, I'm flipping through these pretty quickly, but these slides are all currently available on our website right now. Actually, I'll type it in the chat if you want to pull it up for yourself. It's artscatawba.org/grants. And under Artist Support Grant, we have these slides available right now for you to follow along with if you'd like. And then also, of course, we're recording this video right now. I'm going to post this probably on Tuesday when I get back from Labor Day weekend. And this video will be up for you to come back and reference later as well. Okay, so this next section will cover eligibility requirements for the grant program. Eligible candidates may be either emerging or established artists, but either way, applicants should demonstrate a commitment to spending a significant portion of their time on their work as artists. So we'll go more in depth. We're going to go more in depth about this a little later, but one of the application materials that you'll be turning in is an artist resume, and that's the main way that we're going to see your artistic work history. So both individuals and small unincorporated groups of collaborating artists are eligible to apply. If you're applying as a collaborative group, all members must be North Carolina residents, live in the region where they're applying, and meet the other eligibility requirements as well. And you can document your residence in your artist resume that I mentioned earlier. let's see. Artists should have lived in the region they're applying continuously for at least 1 year prior to the application deadline. So for us, that would be September 30th, 2024. So if you've been living here since September 30th, 2024, then you're good. But if you've moved here more recently, then you wouldn't actually be eligible this year to apply for this grant. Some other rules, an applicant must be at least 18 years old and either a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident. Proof of residence and status may be required, just depending, but I don't think we've ever had to do that before. Artists who live in more than one region should apply where they spend the majority of the year. Okay, so if any of these situations apply to you, then you would be ineligible to apply. If you've received some other source of funding from the NC Arts Council, like another grant from one of their other programs, within the last fiscal year, then you cannot apply. And if you're the sole owner of a business that's received some other sort of funding from the NC Arts Council, then you can't apply for it. Also, current board and staff members of any of the partnering arts councils or their family members, they're not eligible to apply either. And then lastly, this one may apply to more people actually, so this is good to know. The artist support grant is intended for non-student adult artists. So any artists that are enrolled full-time in an undergrad or associate degree program are ineligible to apply to this. It goes into a little more detail in the full guidelines, which is also available at that link I sent. You can go in and look. It does actually talk about grad students a little bit. I think I wrote it down here. Let me see. It's like artists pursuing a graduate degree in a subject other than their art form may be eligible, but you definitely want to check with that with your arts council contact whenever you meet with them. That might be one of the first things you want to check on is to make sure that you are eligible to be able to apply before you get too far into the process. Okay. So this next section will cover the expenses that the grant can be used for. And before I get into this, one thing I always like to tell people when I meet with them one-on-one is that I often advise them to shift their mindset when they're applying for this grant, because it's really one of the few times that you can really be a little bit selfish, quote unquote. The grant is really intended to help you get what you need to grow to the next step. So it's not necessarily about how you're benefiting the community or giving back to it's really focused on your own personal development as an artist, and that should be at the core of whatever you're applying for. Okay, so first we have completion or presentation of a new work, including cost of resources necessary to complete or present a significant new work, such as art supplies, equipment, space rental, any of those types of expenses. We have career promotion, projects aimed at advertising artists' work and demonstrating their skill level, such as websites, portfolios, marketing type expenses can be eligible. Okay, next up we have training, costs to attend a class or a workshop, either to enhance your skill level or your professional development. And then kind of hand in hand with that, you could also apply for travel costs. So like if you're trying to go to a conference across the country about some really specialized art form or something, you could even use some of the grant funds to pay for things like transportation, lodging, and food during that trip. Finally, artist fees. That's you could actually use up to 50% of the grant to essentially pay yourself an artist fee. Like let's say you're creating a new work, then you could also use half of the grant request to pay yourself just like a fee for creating the new work, if that makes sense. Okay, so grant funds may not be used for the following expenses: scholarships or undergraduate or graduate level education, projects that support or oppose a particular candidate for public office, projects that are exclusive to members of a particular religious faith group, nonprofit initiatives, and projects that do not have a direct effect on your growth as an artist, such as like the promotion of another artist's work, for example, is what they give there. So those are some of the things that cannot be funded. If your project is tangent to any of those, then again you'll want to discuss that with your arts council contact. That's one of the primary reasons we do those meetings, is so we can make sure that whatever you're applying for is going to be a good project that's not running into any of these types of things. Okay, so now let's get into the application itself. So first, you're going to do a project narrative. The project narrative is like a short essay that describes what you're applying for. It should explain your proposed project and how it'll have your impact on your career as an artist. So you'll want to make sure that your writing addresses these 3 points here on the slide. Describe your project and the proposed use of funds, explain what the project will enable you to do that you're unable to do now, and summarize how the project will advance your career or development as an artist. So for example, just for a really simple example, let's say that you're applying for like a specialty set of paintbrushes that create a certain style of art or something. So in this case, addressing point 1, your project is simply to purchase specialty brushes for a specific art style. The funds would be used to purchase the set of paintbrushes. And then for point 2, the specialty brushes will allow you to paint in a specific style that you're not currently able to do. And then addressing point 3, the project will advance your artistic development by broadening your skill set and allowing you to create a larger variety of work. So that's you'll probably want to give a little more detail than that. That was a really simple example, but I wanted to give you guys a little something so you have an idea of how to turn like a funding request into a project. Because when we say project on here, that just means whatever you're applying, whatever you're receiving funding for is the project. So if the project is you're just purchasing paintbrushes, you can still write a good narrative around that, you know? Okay, so make sure your proposal is feasible. We'll talk about this in a second, but that's one of the things that it gets scored on is the feasibility of the project. Like how realistic is it? Is it something you can really accomplish within that time frame and with that amount of money? Make sure it's a logical step for you, that if someone's reading your application, they're going to make, you want the people reading your application to be like, okay, that makes sense for this artist. Like that seems like the right next step for them. Like that seems logical for them to want to move up and do this to get to that next level. Use simple declarative sentences, active voice, get to the point. That's some tips that they give there. Observe the space or page limits. Also, the narrative is not an artist statement. I will say that. So this project narrative section should really just be about your project itself. There's actually going to be another attachment later in the application where you'll attach an artist statement where you talk about yourself as an artist. So this is really just a very direct section where you're just supposed to write about what you're requesting funds for and how they're going to be used. Okay, so the next component is a project budget. For most of you guys, this should be really straightforward depending on the project you're applying for. Some of the larger, more complicated projects, the budgets might get a little weirder. But I'm just going to use that really simple example from earlier. I put a slide in here for it. So let's say you list the product name right here, like in this case, the Coffey Deluxe paintbrush set. And let's say it costs $500. Then you're going to put $500 under the total for that expense. And then these 2 columns over here just explain, is this coming from the grant or is this coming from your own funds? So in this case, this is a very simple request. We're just asking for $500 for a paintbrush set. So it's all coming from the grant side. Let's see how that works. So I made another one here. Let's say like the set was more expensive, like it's $2,000. And the maximum grant request is $1,500. So you're going to have to pay out of pocket some for that set to get it. So you would just explain here that the total cost is $2,000, $1,500 is covered by the grant, $500 is covered by yourself. That's how you would fill out that type of section. Okay, and provide as much detail as possible. Here's an example, like they give this example here with travel, $600. You could break that out into a lot more specific costs, and that's going to help you in your application to give more detail. And provide supporting documentation. There is a place on the application, so there will be the budget section where you upload your budget. Underneath that, it'll say budget support. You could upload like screenshots of the costs of things. Like if you have the actual cost of it on Amazon or wherever, you could take a screenshot of that, or if someone sent you a quote for some kind of service, you can include the quote on there. But there is a place to upload some supporting documents for your budget. Okay, so income is similar, but now you're just explaining the sources of your funding. So using that example from earlier, we see here the artist support grant is covering $1,500, and then I usually like to say applicant cash. I think that's a pretty commonly used terminology. If it's just from your own funds, you can say applicant cash this amount. So applicant cash 500, artist support grant 15, and you see here we give the grant and the match. So that's how you would fill out that section. So you're not required to spend any of your own money for your project. It could be like that first example I gave. If the set was only $500, you could have the entire project funded just by the grant alone. You're not required to give any sort of match for this one. Okay, so next we're going to talk about work samples. Let's see. Yes, so this next section is really important. You'll upload several samples of your work in the application, and these are the samples that are going to be the primary method that the panelists are going to use to evaluate the quality of your artwork. So you'll upload several work samples and also what's called an inventory list to go with that. The inventory list is it's just a document to go with the samples that will list it'll list the title and some other relevant information about each sample that you upload. So that way, when the panelists are looking at your application, they'll have all the samples uploaded. They'll also have a document that goes with it that just explains, this is what the first thing is, this is what the second thing is, this is what the third thing is. So I'm going to run through these pretty quickly. You can always go back and look at these later. But this is the specific criteria for each type of art. So if you're a visual artist or some kind of craft, you would upload up to 15 images of your work. And in your inventory list, you're going to provide, in your inventory list, you're going to provide the title, date of completion, the medium, and the dimensions of the work. For music, you would upload up to 3 recorded performances, audio or video, may not exceed a total of 10 minutes. And in your inventory list, you'll include the date, location, title, the name of conductor, lead performer, musician, whatever is relevant to the type of thing you're uploading. And then you could also include a short summary. Okay, for film, documentation of 1 or more completed films, video clips to not exceed 5 minutes. And then in your inventory list, include the date of the work sample, title of the piece, names and roles of key people, directors, lead performers, actors, and a short summary could go with that as well. Dance, up to 3 recorded performances. Videos may not exceed a total time of 10 minutes. And in the inventory list, you'll include the date, location, title, names, etc. For writing, fiction, creative nonfiction, playwrights may submit no more than 12 pages each of 1 to 2 manuscripts. Poets may submit 5 to 7 poems. Playwrights may also submit documentation of a recorded performance or a stage reading. And the inventory list should include the title of the piece, when it's published, etc. Okay, so just to finish off on that, I think let's see, I think I covered everything with that. Yeah, again, and when you're filling out your applications, just work with your Arts Council contact to make sure that you're doing it correctly and you're uploading the right type of thing. I will also say for audio and video, if you have links, that would be links would probably be preferred for me than uploading the files directly, especially if they're huge video files. If you have like a YouTube link or something instead, that would probably be ideal. Okay. So wrapping up, there's just a few attachments at the end of the application that you have to upload as well. So one of these is a 1-page artist statement that describes your work, key goals, ideas, cultural practices that drive you to create. And then an artist resume that should focus on your activities as an artist, including exhibitions, performances, etc. They give a lot of examples there. This is going to look different for a lot of people because, again, like we said at the beginning, this grant is for emerging and established artists. So some people are going to have like pages and pages of stuff, and some people are just going to have a few things, and that's okay. You know, that's part of the process. think they give some advice here on this next slide. They say if you have limited experience as an artist, foreground your existing artistic achievements on your resume, condense your other work and experience into broad background information, and use the situation to make the case that the grant is especially important towards making a meaningful step in your career. So again, if you have any questions about the artist resume or what to put down for that, you'll just talk to your contact about that. Letters of recommendation are optional, but there is a place in the application where you can upload them if you'd like, but again, totally optional. All right, so lastly, we're just going to talk about evaluation criteria. So whenever you guys submit your applications, they're going to be reviewed by a panel of well, they're going to be reviewed by a panel of professional artists. Every year we hire several artists to come out, and depending on the applications we receive, we try to match with the different types of mediums and disciplines. So we'll have like musicians, painters, craft, all those different art forms represented to review your application. And here are the things that they're going to look at. The number one thing is going to be artistic merit, which is demonstrated talent in an art form and overall excellence in the artist's work, and a clear commitment to their career as a practicing professional artist. So this first point here, that's really going to be your work samples. They're going to be looking through your work samples to evaluate your artistic quality. And as far as your commitment to a career, I think that would really be more in the artist statement and the artist resume. They'll be looking through those documents as well. So this, I will say, I'll let you guys know, this score actually counts twice. So there's 3 things, and then this counts double, and then there's 2 other things. So that's how everyone's being scored. So the other things are both in this slide. The first one is benefit of the proposed project to the artist's professional growth. The second one is feasibility of the project. So I mentioned feasibility earlier, just how realistic is the project? Are you going to be able to get it done within the year? Does the budget make sense? Like, does the project budget make sense? Is it a logical progressive step for you? And that kind of ties into the second one too, about your professional growth. Just how is this project going to benefit you? How is this going to help you grow? You really need to make the case for that in your application. Okay, we're almost there. So reviewing the application checklist here, there's going to be an application profile. That's just all of your contact information. Then there's the project narrative we talked about, the project budget we talked about with the budget support as an option there. There are work samples and the inventory list that will go with that. And then the artist statement, the artist resume, and any other support materials that you might just want to throw in there. Things like reviews, programs, catalogs, etc. Okay. So if you do receive a grant, on the very tail end of this, if you receive a grant, you'll enter into a contractual agreement with Arts Culture Catawba. Again, Catawba County, we're the lead partner for this region. So although you'll be working with the arts councils in your county on your applications, a lot of the paperwork and processing and checks and everything go through our office over here. So you'll enter into your contract with us. The promotional and marketing materials for the proposed project must use the NC Arts Council logo and credit line. That's really important. Make sure if you're posting anything about your project, especially things that are more public events or like a big exhibit opening, please do use the NC Arts Council's logo. And you'll have to do a final report at the end of it. So whenever you do that final report at the end, you can put the examples of when you use their logo onto that final report. So I mentioned earlier the project has to take place in the calendar year of 2026, but our organization runs on a fiscal year, so we have to get all our money out by June 15th, 2026, and that's just for our business office, so they can get all the money out within that fiscal year, and it doesn't get complicated. So even if your project's taking place later in the year, you would have to just request the funds by June 15th, and yeah. And then finally, projects must be completed before December 31st. So, okay, I think that's everything. I don't think I set it to where you guys could mute yourself, or I think you guys can unmute yourselves. I don't think I turn that feature off. So if anybody has any questions, does anyone have any questions about anything? Yeah, I see Heather, I see you raising your hand.
Yes, I have a question about the 10-minute maximum for compositions. So if my pieces are, I mean, I don't have any piece that a combination of three of them would fit into 10 minutes. So I would have to do clips of the pieces. So how do you want that done?
So you're saying the examples you have are all longer than 10 minutes? Is that what or are you saying they're
Well,
all
three samples. I don't really have a piece under 5 minutes. So three samples would be automatically a minimum of 15 minutes. So I'd have to cut them.
Yeah, exactly. It would just I mean you could also do like two, I think you could also do two samples maybe that are each a little longer. I think all it was saying was you can't upload more than three samples, and the total time for those samples can't be more than 10 minutes. And that's just for the panelist evaluating, because if it was like a whole long thing that they're having to review a lot of applications. So
Right.
I would either recommend you either just do two samples that equal 10 minutes, or you just cut down each of those samples a little bit, make them shorter excerpts, just to
Yeah,
show
I,
like
I
a
guess
portion of it.
my question is, because I will have to cut them,
Mm.
um, how does it matter? Like, do I just choose where in the piece? Some of the uh, other things I've applied for in the past have said you have to mark on the score where the sample is coming from and things like that. So I didn't
Mm.
know how I should do the cutting.
I gotcha. I would say it's completely up to you. Whatever demonstrates maybe the best part of the piece that you really want them to hear. I would just you'll just have to kind of self-select what you would cut out there.
Okay.
All
And
right.
just mark it on the score, I'll just do that.
Yeah, that I think that'd be fine. You could just mark it on the score and just show it's from here to here, or maybe just even cut out everything around it. I don't know. However you want to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Any other questions? Yes, Heather again.
Okay, yeah.
What you got?
So can you go back to talking about collaborating with another artist? So my idea is writing a short chamber opera. And I have someone to work with as a librettist, but she is not in North Carolina. So is that something that would not be appropriate? Does my collaborator have to be in North Carolina?
I would say I think you could I think I would just maybe apply just by yourself in that case.
Mm-hmm.
You could maybe mention that she's part of the so librettist. Um, I think that that's kind of the person that's creating the lyric, essentially the lyrics, right? Sorry, excuse my
Mm-hmm.
ignorance. Um, but you're actually the one composing the music still, right?
Right,
Okay. So I think you can still totally apply. I just would apply just as yourself and not as a group.
right. Okay,
And just
thank
focus
you.
on the actual you can mention you're working with the librettist for the final product, but I would just mention, focus on the work that you're creating, the music that you're composing, or so.
Okay.
Yes, Ari?
Hello, is this
Hey.
work? Yes. So I wanna have some project to get a certificate, but it will not finish. It will not end till the next year. But I will maybe in 2 years. But it's okay. Like, what does my
Um,
project should be finished in next year?
guess I may need to know a little bit more information about the project. So, which county do you live in?
In Iredell County.
Iredell, I gotcha. So you may just want to talk with them about your project a little more, and I think it depends. Like a lot of these can be a little tricky. It depends on the situation. So you're saying your project may end up going into 2027, basically, right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry, I don't, Sydney here from the
Yes.
Art Council. I'm so glad to see you here. This is great. I believe, Aura, you're taking a course, right?
Yes.
Up in Raleigh, was it? Yeah.
Yes.
And it's going to take 2 years to complete this certificate that allows you to um produce art under, it's a new style you're getting trained on,
Yeah.
correct? So Chris, could she apply for maybe a year's worth of tuition for this program? That I think is her question. But we
That
just limit it to the calendar year.
I think that sounds reasonable to me.
Because she'll be paying, I mean, what are probably like quarterly tuition?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so but it won't be, it will help her work towards completing. I know the part of the criteria is how feasible is it um in getting it done in that timeline, but completing, let's say, 2 semesters in that timeline is highly feasible, but not the course
Not the
itself will
whole.
take maybe 2 years to finish. Does that make sense, Chris?
Yeah, no,
Should
that
we
makes
frame it that
sense.
way?
I think that sounds okay to me. We might
Okay,
just want to double check with the state, my state contact, just in case. But
okay,
maybe we can talk offline and figure that out.
okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions?
Hey, Chris, it's Maria Campagna here. What if I was wanting to take a course and that the catalog has not come out for the school that I would like to attend? It's really a workshop, but they haven't gotten the summer schedule out, and I can really only do it during summer. Um, I don't know when they're going to have the catalog out. Is that something I can maybe screenshot past workshops that would be very similar to what I'm doing and ask for that as tuition? Is that a possibility?
Um, let's see. To me, I would say that sounds feasible to apply for. I think it would make your application a little shakier though. So maybe even if you could reach out to them and have some kind of correspondence that you could maybe include as an attachment, just saying that they've confirmed they're doing it again next year. They're still getting the dates lined up. Some
Okay.
If you added something like that into the supporting documents, I think that would work.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Hold on, I just had one come in on the chat here. Jenna asked, can you talk more in detail of what prevents students from qualifying, or what specific students? Yes. So this is coming from, I will say this is the state's guidelines. We're just abiding by their rule. But I think the reasoning for that, from my understanding, is that like if you're in school right now as an artist, there would probably be opportunities for you to maybe get funding from your project through your school or through your university, especially if you're in like an art degree program. But they did just clarify in the guidelines. They said, this grant is intended for adult non-student artists. So that's just the parameters of how they set up this program up, basically. And as far as what specific students, I think the guidelines say just across the board, if you're a full-time undergraduate or associate degree, like if you're a full-time student currently, then you can't apply at all. If you're a part-time student, like if you're taking classes but you're still working, again, that might just be something we talk about and see if there's an exception that could be made. Let's see. We're not involved in college classes. So again, like it says in the guidelines, if you're any type of undergrad or associate degree full time, then you cannot apply. That's just that's just what the guidelines say. So, but if you are a grad student, there could be some exceptions made, and if you're a part-time student, there can be some exceptions made. But we'll just want to talk about that and figure out the situation. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Hello there. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Hey.
random question, actually. So the project that I'm pursuing is actually going to be one which uses different medium than what I've historically used. I'm moving into a new era of creation, and I'm wondering if samples that I'm sending, for instance, may be visual art, acrylic, medium, but I may be moving into sculpture. Is that going to be something that will, I don't have evidence of that, is what I'm saying. How will that impact my chances of receiving the grant?
Well, the grant is intended for both emerging and established artists. I would say that to focus on, you could maybe include some examples of your other types of art, like other things that you've done in the past. I would really make the case in your artist statement and just write
Okay.
about what's compelling you to go in this new direction and why this is a good direction for you, why this is going to help you grow as an artist. And
Okay,
then just give any examples that you have of what you've made so far, basically.
fabulous. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay, any other questions? Sarah, I see you raised your hand.
Hi, everyone. Yes, and I'm sure you're getting to this. I was curious, when will we be assigned, or when is the earliest opportunity we can begin speaking with our coaches?
Anytime. I already met with 2 people, and I just let them know that I was gonna send the application link just on the 1st whenever it goes live on Monday. So really anytime you'd like, you can reach out to your to the contact and get in touch with them. Especially now though, 'cause
I'm in
next,
Burke.
oh sorry,
Yeah.
what-
So I'm in Burke County. Would I reach out to Deborah?
Yes, exactly. And I think she's on the call right now. I don't see her. I don't know if she stepped away for a second, but she is here right now actually. So you could reach out to her, especially now that the applications are open, or they're going to be open on Monday. So really you could start meeting with anyone anytime and just get, hit the ground running now that the applications are open.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Right. Do we have any other questions? All right. Well, appreciate you guys hopping on this morning. And if you have any other questions, just feel free to reach out. Actually, I'll finish by putting up the contacts again. There we go. Gosh, where at? My goodness, it was right at the beginning. There we go. Okay, there's everyone's contacts. You can start getting in touch with these people whenever you'd like and starting your process. But thank you all for hopping on this morning. And yeah, good luck to everyone.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
All right, thank you.
Chris. Have a great day.
Great
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.